Welcome everybody to Forza Horizon 5, and today we're taking a look at the 2013 Dodge SRT Viper GTS. Now this is part of the fifth and unfortunately final generation of the Viper. This GTS version is the premium model with additional creature comforts such as leather upholstery and gunmetal trim over the standard version. And yeah, this car also has a carbon fibre roof, hood and deck lid, as well as aluminium doors to help keep weight down, because yeah, there's something in this car that is quite large, although it is all aluminium to keep the weight down as well. So yeah, you're probably wondering why I'm reviewing this car of all things. Well, it was the cover car for, I think, the original game, and yeah, it's obviously in this game series is obviously celebrating its 10th anniversary, so I figured I'd give at least one of the cover cars a look. I think I've also got the Lamborghini Centenario to also review, so look forward to that in the future. But yeah, awesome car this is. Really rather unique in a couple of ways, especially in comparison to other modern supercars of the time. And yeah, it's also got a fairly decent interior, which, to be honest, outside of a massive touch screen or whatever, looks fairly modern compared to cars today. I really do like the gunmetal trim, and yeah, the leather all looks nice with the stitching on the doors and the like. So yeah, all nicely done there. But yeah, this car is also reasonably practical as well, as it's got a decent sized boot for a car of this type, as you can see, plenty of depth and width there. But the biggest unique thing about this car is its engine, which is like nothing else on another modern sports car, as it is an 8.4 litre V10 engine producing 640 horsepower and 600 pounds-feet of torque, which is a monumentally huge amount of cubic capacity as well as power for the time. As yeah, this is nearly a decade old, and yeah, plenty of supercars have around this power only a few years after this. So yeah, this was well ahead of its time, as McLaren were, I don't think they had a car that was quite as powerful as this in terms of their more standard cars. And so yeah, obviously they had the P1, which was getting over 900 horsepower, but yeah, their more standard cars like the 12C and the like were not getting anywhere near the kind of power out of their engines. But obviously this is more of a case of size over more over anything else, because it's it's not got no turbochargers for extra efficiency. It's pure brute force and size, quite frankly. But it is all aluminium, so it does have some sophistication to it. But yeah, it's definitely a case of size over matter, quite frankly. But still, the car itself only weighs 3,296 pounds, so again, it's quite lightweight, which is something that can't be said for a lot of American sports cars. So yeah, it does have that going for it. But yeah, obviously this is more of a driver's car than just a luxury cruiser. So let's get out onto the open road and see what this car can do. So with this being an American car, and like every other review, we're going to take this onto the drag strip and see what it can do before we hit the speed camera, and then we'll hoon it around the track. So yeah, this is obviously only rear wheel drive, so it's not got the best traction off the line unless you get it properly right, but it still is quick off the line. So let's see what it can do. So you have to be properly careful with the revs and the like, because you can start sliding all over the place. But as you can see, it is no slouch for a near 10-year-old car. So yeah, 142 miles an hour there. Would have been slightly quicker if we hadn't had to change up, but we did. But regardless, it's still pretty quick for like I said, a decade-old car. And yeah, it's, despite having that great big lump of an engine, it is still a reasonably high revving engine, just over 6,000 RPM, which I don't think was quite the case for the older Vipers. I think they were just under 6,000 RPM, or maybe I'm misremembering. But yeah, we obviously aren't no stranger to this engine, because it was used in some form or another in previous Vipers, although whether or not they were also all aluminium, I'm not sure. But still, they were still quite large V10s, although this is easily the most powerful Viper of the lot. Until the next couple of years, when it would go up by 5 horsepower, but still, even then, that is still a huge amount of power. So yeah, we're in S1 class at the bottom end, and yeah, as you can see, it's got nearly 50-50 weight distribution, and yeah, the handling and braking is pretty good. Like I said, the launch is a little bit on the weak side because it is rear wheel drive. It's got a hell of a lot of torque, so you have to be really precise to get it off the line accurately. But yeah, top speed is also pretty good as well. So yeah, let's see what it can do around this track. it is a pretty good handling car. Obviously you could do even better in terms of handling with the you can see ACR version, which had a massive rear wing and concentrated far more on handling than acceleration and top speed. But yeah, let's listen to the engine first for a bit, and then we'll talk about it some more. So yeah, this is a bit of an unruly car. It does like to slide out, despite having those massive thick tyres at the rear. They only offer a certain amount of grip, and it's the kind of grip where once it's at the limit, it's gone pretty much. So yeah, it is a bit hairy to drive, but that's one of its the enjoyable parts of this car. It's not an overly refined, overly tweaked, modified car that will flatter your ego. It's a car that needs to be driven, and I really do enjoy that from it. And yeah, it's the kind of thing that you don't really get nowadays. But still, it's a quick car in a straight line. It's not unsophisticated in that regard, as it can do 0 to 60 in 3.585 seconds, 0 to 100 in 7.65 seconds, and going to a top speed of 208 miles an hour, which is pretty quick even by today's standards. Which, when you consider this is a bit of an an unruly beast off the line, that's a pretty quick in terms of acceleration. And yeah, the top speed is pretty great as well. So yeah, and there is some handling to have on the go as well once you do get up to speed. As you can see, the roof has been designed to funnel air to the rear wing, which is nicely incorporated into the bodywork. It's not something that looks like it's just been stuck on as an afterthought. So yeah, does have that going for it. And yeah, I do also like that the badge at the rear there is also a brake light. That is a pretty neat feature. And one other feature on this that you don't really see on any cars these days is side exhaust, as you can see. So yeah, it's a bit of an old school car with some modern touches, but I like that mix of the two, to be honest. And quite frankly, it works. And yeah, it's easily one of my favourite cars from the 2010s. Mostly because it's just got a really rather unique engine. It's not an engine you see anymore. V10s and above are quite frankly dying out, and even when they weren't dying out, you really didn't see a V10 above 7 litres. I think the biggest one you would see is probably from an Aventador, or a Gallardo, which would be about 5.7 litres. Obviously you'd see V12 engines from the likes of the Aventador or a Pagani getting up to 6.5 or maybe 7.5 litres, but you'd never see a V10 more than this. So yeah, that is quite unique in that regard, and it's still a great car in its own right. So yeah, I do highly recommend trying this car out if you haven't already. It has been part of the 10th anniversary of this game. In the previous one of the seasons, it was featured in a to get as a prize, and it's also the prize for doing all of the Midnight Battles or the Horizon story. I can't remember which, but still, the Horizon Anniversary story, which is again a new part of this update that was in this game a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, get out there and try this car if you haven't already. It's a really rather great car, and one I feel that is quite underrated. But nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.